In addition to dragging messages to folders yourself or using Outlook rules to automatically sort and file your messages away for you, you could also use another feature called Auto Archive to move older messages and other items out of your inbox and into an archive. The only kinds of items not affected by Auto Archive are contacts, which makes sense because you want those to stay put. To configure and set up those auto archive settings, go up to your File menu, all the way down to Options, and click on this Advanced tab. Now, from this Advanced tab towards the top half, you should see a section labeled Auto Archive, which says here, reduce mailbox size by deleting or moving old items to an archive data file. So it's actually a separate data file. Now, to configure that, let's go ahead, click this button, Auto Archive Settings, and that's going to open up a window that looks just like this. Now, by default, Auto Archive will be turned off. To turn it on, we need to check this puppy right here, that first box, and it's set right now to Auto Archive every 14 days. But we can set that to any number. We can set that to 30 days, for example. And below that, we have a variety of other options. We can have it prompt us before it runs, but I usually don't need to be prompted, so I'm going to uncheck that. And below that, we have additional options. During Auto Archive, we can choose whether or not we want to delete expired items, archive or delete old items, show archive folder in the folder list, and yeah, I do recommend that. And if we have some of these options checked, we can choose then how often we want to clean out older items. So 6 months is the default. We can have it set sooner, 3 months, 8 months, totally up to us. I'm going to leave it at 6 months. And if we wanted a true archive, we can move it to a new data file. We can click that Browse button and choose where we'd like that archive file to be kept. And we can call it anything. We don't have to leave it as archive. But I'm just going to leave it called that and click OK. Or we can even choose the option to permanently delete old items, but I'm going to keep it as the archive. Once you have all of your options set, click the Apply these settings to all folders now button and then click OK. Now, if you want to override any of those archive settings, you can do that. For example, this deleted items folder or your junk email folder. You probably don't need to archive items kept in those folders. So right-clicking on any one of those folders and going to Properties, and then jumping on over to the Auto Archive tab. It's going to have it set as whatever we had configured in that Auto Archive area. But we can override those settings here. We can choose to not archive items in that folder, or we can change those defaults. We can archive it using these settings, and I'm just going to choose to permanently delete those settings. So older than, I'm going to say 1 month. So anything in the junk email folder older than 1 month will get permanently deleted. And I'm going to apply that right now. So that's how you can apply different auto archive settings to an individual folder. Just right-click right on top of that folder, whatever folder that may be, go to Properties, and go to the Auto Archive tab to configure those settings that are different from whatever your default settings may be that you set up in that Backstage view. But that is how you can configure Auto Archive in Outlook. Now, do keep in mind that if you are on a corporate account, always be sure to check with IT about any email retention policies and make sure to follow their guidelines for archiving and email retention.